Hello, Honors Leadership Seminar 2, IDH 1002. I hope you're doing fantastically well. Today, I want to give you an overview of our Canvas website, our learning management system, our LMS. So you have an idea of what you're in store for in IDH 1002. We will meet on Tuesday afternoon, which I'm very excited that we're going to be meeting in person, actually working through the skills of leadership development. If you've never used Canvas before, this is what our homepage actually looks like. And you'll note the homepage is here. We will also be occasionally announcing things, and when announcements show up, they will actually show up right here. Those are things I want you to make sure that you know, either about the Honors College or about things that are going on in our class or other competitions that are showing up. If you ever want to look at our syllabus, if you click on syllabus, it'll take you right to our course syllabus, which is also up online, what I sent you out before class. The most of the time where you're going to be spending on what you're doing is the modules. Modules are all the idea of the work, the ideas that you'll actually have to do throughout the semester. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. And if we go to a student view, you can actually see it looks basically the same. There we go. Now, when we're looking at our modules, the first thing that I'll have you consider is the idea that I want you all early on thinking about your semester-long civic engagement project. Every one of you has to do a semester-long civic engagement project, and that project basically is of your own choosing and design. So it's a minimum of a 10-hour commitment throughout the semester. So you can do the Civic Action Scorecard where you're earning points. That's the one that I most recommend for students because it allows you to explore and it gives you some flexibility. Each of these comes with a written exercise as part of the reflection of it. Option number 2, you could do academic service learning, where you take your skills on the road and go out and actually work in some kind of non-for-profit organization using your skills or trying to learn a skill. I highly recommend this for people who don't know what major they want to do. Try out and say, all right, maybe this is where I want to go. Right? It's a kind of hands-on learning experience. Option number 3, if you're an art major or want to play around with being an art major, there's the idea of creating a socially conscious artwork that we try to get published. Option number 4, you can create a YouTube video project, and there's the description that actually is here and kind of the different sections that show up. And number 5, for those of you who've had me in the past in the honors art appreciation, non-Western art, you create a culture box that actually goes out to teachers, or if you're thinking about in the educational industry or being a teacher, you can try to create some educational materials that will be used by students. So any one of these, I'll need to know what you're deciding and thinking about by week 4 so we can actually start guiding you within that process. That's the first thing to consider, that semester long. Our student resources are always up here. Our top 5 frequently requested IDH resources, right? Here's the Civic Action Scorecard, because that's what most people end up doing. We have our Honors Leadership Syllabus to show you, and I'll show you an outline of this. If you ever want to schedule office hours, I highly recommend that I get to know you, you get to know me, particularly because we have a larger IDH format this year than usual. And for anyone, because we are in the middle of a mental health crisis in colleges around the country, right? You get 10 free mental health service kind of referrals, consultations, therapy sessions if you need them. We also have a food pantry, if food insecurity, if you have payday loan issues, like there's other resources that are out there that we can actually help you with. If we go back to modules then, outside of our resources, here's how it's actually laid out. The way this course is, it's laid out as a flipped model classroom, which means when you come to class each week on Tuesday, you've already done the vast majority of work for that class before you ever come to class. Now, that might be a series of watching some TED Talks. It might be a particular reading that you had to do to reflect upon, and you'll be turning in your notes, basic notes, a scaffold notes, so that I can prove that you've actually done it. So when you come to class, I don't actually have to lecture. In fact, I don't ever want to lecture. I want to put you in activities because I want to hear what you have to say. You're in the honors program. We want to hear about your opinions, how you're processing ideas, what's struggling you, what's not working in whatever topic that happens to be out there. So that's what we really do want to get to know as much as we can. So the first part of week 1 was you'll get to know me. Many of you I have not met before, but I look forward for the opportunity. I want to get to know you as well, right? We have the required curriculum every other Thursday that you have to attend from 3:30 to 5 p.m. And we want you all to upload a picture in this first week in Canvas. And here's the idea of how you do it so that when I'm looking at your work, I can say, oh, that's Natalie's work. Oh, that's Avis's work. Oh, that's Johan's work. So I literally can put those different names so I get to know you a little bit, even when you're not around. So we're going to upload those images as well. So in week number 2, for example, we're going to have the conversation of this. What type of life am I or are you creating? Right? So there's an introduction on what type of life am I creating, kind of an overview to show, choose to live a meaningful life today. So there's some pictures, some images, but it's basically an overview of what we're going to be covering in the week. The next section then is really what you have to do, the weekly readings and videos. Note, the brief notes are due before class. So please use these educational videos to become a better student and future professional. So college teaching you information, how to think and how to think about thinking, called metacognition. This is something we're really kind of pushing, not just in the honors college, but for all students to think about how they think. Then we're really going to focus a fair amount on gratitude and the science of happiness. We want you to be constructing a life that's not just useful, but that's happy and meaningful for you as well. And so we need to look at all aspects of science that are now out there where we actually can look at these things. So after you do and write your notes up, each one of you, so here's the notes where you actually submit them. You'll submit them to me. They only need to be on the major ideas and then a little bit of a reflection about what does that mean to you. The other thing that you'll be doing every week, besides the reading and writing that little kind of notes, is you're going to actually have a discussion board posting. And my favorite one of the entire semester starts off in week number 2, and that's the gratitude letter. You may not know this, but scientifically, if you write a sincere thank you letter to someone who has helped you, that person will get a benefit that will make them happier, at least in a small increment, for up to 6 months. I repeat, 6 months. Here's the kicker. You get the same interaction because you feel good about yourself that you thank someone. So there is both a positive, kind of selfish thing to actually make yourself happier. But we'll talk about all of this science that's actually out there now. And so this is called the gratitude letter. I will tell you, I write 2 gratitude letters every year. I write one in December for someone who has most significantly impacted me at the college. I always write one in about May, right? So I'm constantly getting this microdose of the idea of happiness. And here's the science behind all of that. So everything we do is going to be based upon science, right? So we can use science for leadership. How do we impact individuals? How do we get people to more on our side? How do we do consensus building? How do we do negotiation, particularly win-win negotiation? We're going to look at the science that's out there that's coming out of some of the leading institutions, right? Harvard Business School, the Wharton Business School out of UPenn. We'll be looking at leadership models that come out of Google, right? We'll be looking at Disney, Pixar, Saturday Night Live, different experiences that show up. So each week it's laid out like this. So you do the work before you ever come to class. Now, I think what's also interesting about the class, I want to show you just an overview. Here's the topics we'll be covering. And at the beginning of class, I will always offer you guys the option, is there something we're missing that we need to know? So week 1 is going to be our introduction. Week 2 is all going to be about gratitude. Week 3, we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of charity. Week number 4, we're going to be talking about career research. Week 5, you're going to design a resume, and then everyone in the class is going to evaluate your resume to see, and all right, what are the strengths that you bring to the table, but also what are the weaknesses that we should be working on. Week number 6, we're going to talk about interviewing and negotiating salary. Week 7, you're going to create an online portfolio. Week 8, we're going to talk about college planning as we start getting you ready for the second year. Week number 9, we're going to talk about budget management, your own personal budget, how to manage it, getting ready for next year and the transfer to other colleges. Week 10, we'll talk about mental health and time management, and you'll do a career job shadowing activity to make sure this is really the job for you. Week number 11, we'll talk a little bit about U.S. foreign policy and what that means. Week number 12, we'll talk about systemic racism, and your online portfolio will be due about your own background. Week number 13, we'll be talking about feminism, particularly as it relates to the workforce. Week 14 to 16, you'll be doing common kind of group presentations. So we can look at both your presentation style, but then also on things that we haven't covered that all students need to know about. And week number 15, then you'll have your social long issues project due. And so that's kind of the layout of the class that we're moving forward. I look very much to working forward with you. I try to be as personal and open. So if anything comes up that either I could do better or you need help in, please, please, please stop by. It's one of the kind of the privileges of getting to work with students that are so highly driven within the Honors College. Have a wonderful day. I can't wait for class to start and see you in class this semester. Bye.